They strike without warning, turning our innocent world upside down.
I really don't know who it is or what it is. I just wish it would leave.
There is no method to their madness, no rhyme to their reason.
There's something out there we can't explain. Ignorance, stupidity, fear, and debunking is not going to make it go away.
They exist outside the boundaries of logic, but perhaps they live within all of us. Playful spirits, mischievous ghosts, poltergeists.
Beyond what is known lies an unexplored world of shadows and phantoms. A land that knows no limits of time or space. From the dawn of discovery to the nightfall of catastrophe. Journey to a universe of the unexplained, the unforeseen, the unbelievable. A place beyond reality where no question will go unanswered. A place where myth and legend are law, superstition a science.
It's time for our journey to begin. You play with our fears, toy with what we know to be real. Poltergeists. Knowledge surrounds these library walls, and with these instruments, that knowledge can be ours. From ghosties and ghoulies and long-legged beasties and things that go bump in the night, good Lord, deliver us. That prayer encompasses much of the supernatural, including the poltergeist, or playful spirit. And these poltergeists can be found in the most unlikely places. This is an establishment dedicated to innocence. A toy store in California in the United States, and this man is about to receive a lesson in the supernatural. Poltergeists have been reported for thousands of years, though perhaps they have been misidentified. Demons, gremlins, sprites, elves, they have gone by many names. Who can say for certain how many witnesses were persecuted for their tales? For society has always frowned on being forced to confront the unexplained. But those who have experienced a full-blown outbreak can never forget, though they earnestly wish they could. This man is not alone. For the supernatural has a way of manifesting itself whether we want it to or not. There are many theories as to why poltergeists appear. As to where they appear, the facts are conclusive. They're everywhere. Poltergeists have been reported all around the world, and in some cultures, they're an accepted component of local religion. In the South Pacific, poltergeist activity is a part of everyday life, literally taken for granted. But in our outwardly more sophisticated culture, poltergeists are feared, or worse, disbelieved. To learn more about this curious phenomenon, we need to examine a haunting in progress. As is so often the case with the supernatural, this activity began under the most innocent circumstances. This quiet suburban neighborhood in Southern California seems quite normal enough. But inside this house, just behind these closed doors, the normal has become the paranormal.
It's something you can't explain. I've heard a lot of stories about poltergeists. I've seen a lot of movies, and they've always been fascinating, but I've always been skeptical. But now I have lived through a few of the things.
One of the most amazing stories that I've come encountered with was our son Dusty was laying in his crib crying, and me and my wife were in our bed, and we were going to let him cry himself to sleep because he had a habit of crying and wanting to be picked up. So we said, no, now we're not going to pick him up. We're just going to see how long he cries. So he had been crying for about 10 minutes.
All of a sudden, I heard a woman's voice tell our son to be quiet and go to sleep. And at that time, our son just went to sleep. When my husband and I both heard that woman's voice tell our son to go to sleep, we immediately ran into his room. And in his room, he was fast asleep. He was very comfortable, which was amazing. And there was like a fog, a cloud around his crib.
What's happening here? Parapsychologist Barry Taff intends to find out.
We try to place ourselves into the environment to where we ourselves as researchers experience the phenomena firsthand. At the same time, we bring with instrumentation to record the phenomena, tape recorders, audio recorders, and video equipment such as conventional low-light video cameras or infrared video cameras, hoping that we're able to actually document the presence of the phenomenon when it's there.
Through a process called infrared thermography, Taft believes he can capture this elusive phenomenon. But not today, not at the Figginses.
The phenomenon usually doesn't show up when the researchers are there because we're only there for a few hours out of thousands of hours they spend in that environment.
What is causing these strange goings-on? Barry Taff feels it is Terry's unleashed subconscious.
Phenomena seems to occur when he's under great stress and or he's anxious, which is a general theory we have. It's spanned the duration of most of his life, which means it's a product or a byproduct of him in some manner.
It's here now, and I don't think I'm creating it now. I think it's just here.
The poltergeist, a creature of shadow, not, it seems, imagination. 3,000 miles from the Figgins home in the city of Chicago, another haunting is in progress.
We started hearing footsteps upstairs going across the floor, primarily on Sundays.
Glasses were moving around the table very quickly. I don't know whether that was a ghost here or just someone's power of will to move the glass, but that scared me a lot.
I used to hear some funny noises and stuff, and I'd walk around like a glass would break, and I'd hear it, but I'd go over there and I wouldn't see no glass broke.
I came up here after work one night. I was studying at the bar, and I had a distinct feeling I was not the only person in the room. It was clearly the sound of someone stomping across the floor. I turned around to go downstairs, and as I went downstairs, it was just as if someone was running an ice cube up and down my spine. There was something here I can't explain, and there's a very good possibility that this is poltergeist activity.
If this phenomenon does exist, experts have differing explanations of what it may be.
Poltergeist comes from the German meaning a mischievous or a noisy ghost, and usually that's what it is. A ghost, some kind of a spirit trying to attract attention to itself by doing mischievous things.
You find it quite often in the case of a living person causing a poltergeist that it's an adolescent because they are full of conflicts and emotion, and sometimes they can project it onto material things so that things will move around.
What a poltergeist supposedly is a mischievous imp or a creature from another dimension. They are not from the dead. They don't come back to haunt and disrupt and destroy. They just like to play silly games.
Something unusual is occurring. Something that has no easy explanation. It's time for us to try to confront this mystery head-on and see if this mischievous spirit will emerge from the shadows that surround it. Poltergeists are notoriously shy. but they seem to delight in surprising and shocking the unwary. These mysterious forces that follow innocent families around the country seem anxious to preserve their anonymity. Why? It was in this small village in Long Island, near the city of New York, that the poltergeist first became a media event. This is Amityville, and in the nearby home of George and Kathleen Lutz, a terrifying and still unexplained happening put the poltergeist on the front pages and on the movie screen. And years later, the horror of Amityville lives on. The ordeal of the Lutzes still told and retold.
Well, supposedly they seen pig eyes in the windows, they seen pigs in the pool. There was some talk that one of the doors was blown off the hinges. At the time, they said that in certain rooms there was blood oozing out of the doorways or windows and things like that. All the kind of things you'd read about in a kid's book.
But why this house? The Lutzes believed the cause to be the psychic fallout from a series of grisly murders committed years earlier under their roof. The confessed murderer, Ronald the Theo, killed his entire family, and that unspeakable crime was thought to live on. But many who live in Amityville have a more down-to-earth explanation for this haunting.
I believe they had a preconceived idea of concocting the story and writing a book and making money on it.
I believe it was a financial gain. Absolutely.
No matter what the explanation, this case made it easier for other poltergeist victims to tell their stories, and every year hundreds of outbreaks are reported, and not all can be dismissed. There's no doubt that some strange force can manifest itself. Not surprisingly, parapsychologists have a number of different explanations.
Young children are particularly open to the energy of poltergeist because during their puberty they manifest a great deal of changing energy.
It's sometimes a subtle play of the right person, right place at the right time. But in other cases, things seem to go on and on for many, many years.
The evidence accumulated by many researchers throughout the world is very matter-of-factly suggests that there's something out there we can't explain. Ignorance, stupidity, fear, and debunking is not going to make it go away.
One of the most common misconceptions is that a poltergeist is a ghost. That is not the case. A ghost is said to be the soul of someone who has not yet transcended the physical plane, someone who has not yet completed the journey to their ultimate cosmic destination. A poltergeist, on the other hand, is a far more down-to-earth entity. It likes to toy with the living, manipulate the physical world for its own mysterious purposes. One theory is that poltergeists come from within, that they're creatures locked away in our physical body, waiting only for a chemical excuse to rise. Are we carrying these strange powers inside us? And if so, can they be released? Perhaps controlled? Ghosts and spirits are traditionally rooted in one place. Yet poltergeists have been known to follow people from one place to another, across great distances. Why?
When this first happened to me, I was about maybe 13, 14 at the time. And this is in Dallas. There was a lady who died in the house. And we had just moved in. So she was like, I guess she was angry that someone was moving into her house. Then I moved to Boston, Massachusetts, and I started experiencing other poltergeists. I would hear noises in the living room or in my bedroom. I would hear them, knocking. It was a different type of experience.
This terrifying experience has followed Shah to her new Los Angeles home. It will not leave her at peace. It almost seems as if she has attracted her own personal demon, an entity that recently has disturbed her bedclothes, ripped through her curtains. A strange force that continually reminds her of its presence.
The poltergeist is always bothering me there. They're always shaking my bed, or making noise in the closets, or on the walls, just tapping or rapping. I really don't know who it is or what it is. I really can't tell. I just wish it would leave.
So Shah went for expert help. Margaret Rogers, a psychic with years of experience, visited the residence and through her conversations with Shah began to form a theory as to what was occurring.
What it does is it will give you impressions of its presence. This situation here with the lady in this house, Shah, is one of energy that has been following her around for a long time. Shah can actually help herself by thinking positive thoughts, by enjoying her life. She will cast light upon the lost soul, the entity, and it will be uplifted.
I really want this to end. I mean, I'm tired of living in fear. I'm tired of this poltergeist bothering me.
In the mid-1920s, a noted parapsychologist named Harry Price was the first to notice that many poltergeist manifestations seem to occur around young girls. This perplexing fact may have an explanation that may shed some light on just what poltergeists are. According to Harry Price, the ratio of poltergeist activity between men and women is 5 to 95%. His reason for that statistic? Well, Price believed that a young girl just entering adulthood could, in some cases, trigger her dormant psychic powers through the natural stimulus of her body's hormones. These hormones are the products of the assorted glands we all possess. Only in these rare cases, they run wild, causing the entire range of reported manifestations. But this is only a theory, and it does not come close to explaining every case, or this long list of poltergeist activities, but it is a start. This is only one theory. No matter why poltergeists appear, most people who encounter them would rather not. Is it possible to drive them away, to escape their playful attention? Many have tried, and a few have succeeded. Shall we ever be able to understand these poltergeists?
Poltergeists are a very tricky thing to work with because sometimes they're a very short duration, a few weeks, a few months, then they're gone. But there are other poltergeist situations that'll last year after year.
To get rid of a poltergeist, the best thing is to get to the center of the trouble that is in the home. Most poltergeists feed on disruptive energy.
Our job is to first determine what it is we're looking for, determine its nature, and then when we determine its nature, we'll know why it's there, and then when we know why it's there, we'll know how to get rid of it.
These noisy manifestations seem determined to evade easy explanations. Witness after witness report that poltergeists act like angry children, frustrated, almost jealous of the living. Whatever they are, wherever they reside, they obviously seek something from our physical world. You are playing a game we cannot understand. Perhaps someday we will learn the rules.
Secrets and Mysteries presents information based in part on theories and opinions, some of which are controversial. The producer's purpose is not to validate any side of an issue, but through the use of actualities and dramatic recreation, relate a possible answer, but not the only answer, to this material. Air transportation for Secrets and Mysteries provided by Delta Airlines. We love to fly, and it shows. accommodations for secrets and mysteries provided by the Outrigger Reef, one of 20 Outrigger hotels located in beautiful Waikiki. For reservations, see your travel agent.
According to a recent poll taken in the United States, half of its population believe that the universe is inhabited by other intelligent life. The rest of the world cannot be far behind. The 1950s witnessed a sharp increase in the number of sightings all around the world, and with it, more and more evidence that something unusual was happening in our skies. Even the United States government took notice, beginning an official Air Force investigation called Project Blue Book. Their files soon overflowed with more than 12,000 sightings. These water beasts may well be the most ancient surviving inhabitants of our planet.
Did I see the monster? I don't know. But I do believe that, I obviously saw some things, and nobody's been able to tell me what I saw. So I think I must have seen the monster.
Stonehenge. That place has become a metaphor for the magnificent, the unfathomable, and the mysterious.
I have the feeling that the people who built it had something very strongly in mind, maybe more than the astronomy and the worship. And I wish to goodness I knew what it was, and maybe I never will.
German scientist Werner von Braun is considered to be the architect of America's space program. Von Braun and his team took the technology from the German V-2 rocket, which had been created for destruction, and applied it to the development of the chariots that would take man to new worlds.
There's never been an astronaut who got on a spacecraft, whether it was Mercury, Apollo, or even Shuttle, who didn't fully understand the risk involved and who wasn't willing to take it.
The only voyage of the Titanic was surrounded by bad luck that defies belief. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. It was as if she was cursed. A curse, some say, began when she was launched.
What happened? He came back. He said, it's nothing much. They only struck an iceberg.
This magnificent object is a symbol of genius, of ambition, and of dedication, for it is believed to have taken 30 years to construct. And that construction is not the least of its miracles.
It stands as one of the most prominent monuments for its size and complexity, and also its lack of information about it. To be able to plan and economically accomplish such a large feat for the pharaoh is extraordinary.
This is the mark of Sasquatch, taken from a set of tracks that covered a 5-mile stretch of dense forest. The depth of each print indicates that whatever made it weighed 800 pounds. 800 pounds. And there's other, more dramatic evidence. On a hot afternoon in October, Roger Patterson and a friend were riding through some woods in northern California. Suddenly their horses shied. They looked ahead and saw something squatting by the creek. As the creature ambled away, Patterson took this film that has been analyzed, debated, and contested ever since.